Thank you. Hey, everybody. I'm so glad. It's great to see that so many people are gone and are talking. I'm happy. That's what we are here for. I'm also happy to be like one of the last ones up because I've been going through my speech, crossing that out, and because everybody's been saying it so much more eloquently than I ever could. And so I am so grateful for all of you for helping me keep this brief as well. I'm so honored to be a part of today, which is the largest arts advocacy day ever that we are all a part of. We're fighting together for the arts, for access for the arts, for funding for the arts, for arts education, for the NEA, for arts in our schools and our communities. And I'm so, that is one of my big causes, by the way, is arts and education. Because people think that, that it's about making artists and making elite artists who will paint pictures and die and then get hung in the museum somewhere. And that's not what it's about. It's about creating not only people that do that, but it's about creating artist teachers and artist doctors and artist lawyers and artist politicians and artist inventors and creating empathy. We need empathy so much. My God, let's make America empathetic again, for God's sake. That's what artists do, and that's what here today. One of my very favorite sayings ever is, "May you live in interesting times." Well, here we are. I only found out recently that was actually a curse, but I've always thought of it as a blessing because it's interesting times when artists and art lovers are really activated and really ignited to do what we are put here for. It's a time that I think a lot of people have felt a reinvigoration of their own patriotism and their own ownership to their country and to the government as well, and they feel that responsibility. Interesting times like these empower and ignite artists to be the conscience of a society and ignite others to do the same, and remind us that we are all responsible for our country. It reminds us that we all need to be the change that we want to see. And that's why I'm here, that's why you are here, that's why we are here together, fellow artists and art lovers, fellow citizens. We are here because we have the freedom and the privilege and the responsibility to play an active part in our government today, to be hands-on, to be face-to-face, to be one-on-one. Now, sometimes I think that arts has an optics issue. And I think the reason is because we are so in it. We are like fish swimming in water. Arts is all around us. We are swimming in art. And that's one of the things I think that needs to be brought to the attention of some of the people that think, well, what does that have to do with my constituency? What does that have to do with me? I say, look around the room that you are in, whatever room that is, and look what artists have done. The chandeliers, the tops of the columns, the ceiling, the weave in the carpet, the weave in the tapestry behind us. That's what artists do. It's so much bigger than that. You want to feel closer to your divinity, you go to the church and you hear the choir, and you hear the organ playing, and you see the angels in the architecture, and you see the light streaming through the stories that are told in stained glass. That's what artists do. You play your video game. You're not playing code. You're playing a hero that is there to save the universe from the alien invasion or the zombie apocalypse. And that's what artists do. They are the interface that make that happen as well. So I think art is everything outside of nature that makes our lives beautiful. And it helps us realize in our own pain and in our own insecurity and in our own delight and in our own sorrow that we are not alone. And that's why the NEA is so important, and organizations like that help bring art to communities and people that might not have the opportunity to have that connection. I'm going to close with a story. People often ask me, what's your favorite show? And I have to say, it's hard to pick, but the most magical show that I've ever done is Ragtime. And thank you. And I'm so happy now. I was happy actually in a sense that we closed, because now it stopped being a part of Broadway and it went into the hands and the hearts and the minds where it belonged, in high schools, in colleges, in community theaters, where it gave others the opportunity to spread the message that we were having the message to spread already. The story that I want to tell you is when I was doing Ragtime, it opened around the spring of 1998, and that's Tony time. And when that show opened, man, everybody was going, "Oh my God, I love Ragtime. That's the most incredible show. Tony Award. You're going to win the Tony Award. Ragtime's going to sweep the Tony Awards. It's going to be great. It's all about the Tony Awards." And you kind of get caught up in this feeding frenzy, like I like to call it, of the Tony Awards. And we thought, okay, this is going to be great. We're set now. We're going to sweep the Tony Awards. And then The Lion King opened. And of course, what we know happened is The Lion King ran away with a lot. We got a few of the awards. Now, the thing is, when you're doing a show like that, you're trying so hard not to get caught up in the Tony Award part, but you just do. And as hard as you're trying to do the show, man, it's really hard, the bows at the end of the show, to not feel that little pang, that little bit of disappointment, until just a few days after the Tony Awards. About 3 or 4 days after the Tony Awards, on June 7th, we read a story in the paper. A gentleman by the name of James Byrd in Jasper, Texas, was dragged behind a truck full of white supremacists until his body fell apart, and he died. He was murdered by these people. And I remember sharing that story and talking to the cast. And after, when we were on the stage taking our bows, I remember feeling so ashamed that I got caught up in the Tony, this kind of surface thing of what we think the arts are about. That's when I realized this is much bigger than that. The arts are about something huge and something that connects us all. And what, for me, really made me realize that was correct, that was true, was about 2 weeks later, I got a letter. And it was a rather thick letter in the days where people wrote letters. And I pull it out, I'm in my dressing room, and I read this letter, and it's about 4 pages, single-spaced, written. And I'm reading this letter. It says, "Hi, my name is so-and-so. I live in Florida. I'm a Caucasian male in my 20s, and I have a pretty ordinary life." And in this letter, he proceeds to go on for 4 pages about his ordinary, average life. And I think, why is he telling me all this? This is like, I don't understand why he wrote this long letter, until the last paragraph of the letter. And the last paragraph said, "The reason I am writing this letter is because 2 weeks ago, I came to see Ragtime. And when I left the theater, I realized that I've been a racist all my life and didn't even know it. That's why I'm here today. That's why you are here today. That's why we are here today, because art is so important. It is important because it has the power to change lives in one epiphanal moment, forever, for the good. It is important to our life. Art is important to our liberty. Art is important to our pursuit of happiness. We are today indeed Americans for the arts, together, supporting the NEA, the CREATE Act, the STEAM Caucus, all of the issues that are so important to us, sharing the importance of the art and our understanding of it. So go out and tell your story. Make it personal. Go out and tell your story and make them hear you. Thank you.